Hey everyone, Ida from PJP here, and welcome back to Headline Mondays. And honestly, what a week of headlines it has been. So let's recap, and I'll try to keep it as short as I can, but there was just a lot. And that's not even covering the news that just broke this morning that I'm gonna cover next week. But anyway, let's get started. So, big news. Lewis Hamilton broke his 1+1 contract with Mercedes that he just signed last year in order to join Ferrari starting in 2025. And for those of you who don't know, a 1+1 contract is basically they sign on for a year and then have the option to extend. Both parties have the option to extend for another year. And Lewis, shocker, has elected to already exercise his option of saying, I'm out after 2024, which rumor has it, he's done that even sitting in the car. And honestly, I'm probably not the only one that thought that Lewis would retire with Mercedes, but no. Oh, shocker, he wants to drive in red. And honestly, after him driving for Mercedes for, what is it now, 11 years? Or it will be 11, this will be his 11th year. And also, previously, Mercedes has always played a role in his Formula One career because they are the engine supplier of McLaren, his team before Mercedes. So their relationship has been going on almost 2 decades. And all of a sudden, for that to go bust, everyone was stunned. Of course, now that means with Charles just having signed his extension with Ferrari, that means Carlos is out of seat. So where is he gonna go? Honestly, speculations are running wild because apparently there's also speculation as to who will take the Merc seat. And because of those two speculations going on at the same time, some people are saying, what if Carlos goes to Mercedes? What if Fernando from Aston Martin goes to Mercedes and then Carlos goes to Aston Martin? Or what if, because Carlos has been linked to Audi/Sauber in the past, what if he joins Sauber a year pre-regulations before they become Audi and just gets a feel for the car? So silly season is already sillying. And that's not even all of it, because a couple days after that news broke on the 1st, we had news of rumors of Alex Albon being in discussion with Red Bull for a 3-year contract. And for those of you who don't know, Alex used to be in Toro Rosso, and then mid-season in 2019 got switched out with Pierre Gasly, who was driving next to Max in the Red Bull. So Alex got promoted mid-2019 into the Red Bull from Toro Rosso. And then the rest of 2019 and 2020, he drove for them actually. And then I want to say pretty unceremoniously got booted for what is now Checo's spot. And so was without a seat for 2021 and then rejoined obviously in 2022 with Williams. But besides the point, it's while I don't see those rumors being true, I didn't see the Lewis rumors being true, and those were true, so who knows what will happen there. But of course, these two things, or this factual contract with Lewis and then the Alex rumor, of course, overshadowed what was a sad day, I want to say, for American representation in F1, because Andretti's bid to join the grid in 2025 and 2026 got denied. After they passed the FIA screening late last year, the FOM, basically the marketing kind of body of F1, said no. Granted, they left the door open for conversation for 2028, but still, it was a shock to North American motorsports fans, because if you're in North America, you know the name Andretti because they're big in NASCAR, they're big in IndyCar, they're big basically everywhere except for F1. And so, of course, that was a huge blow. I mean, Mario Andretti tweeted saying he doesn't want to speak on it because it's too devastating, etc. And for a owner of a company to say that is huge in my opinion. Anyway, what else? Well, there is some trademark stuff going on as well that came on the back of the Andretti news, which kind of, in context of the Andretti news, is kind of surprising, because apparently F1 trademarked names surrounding a potential Chicago GP, like they trademarked the words Chicago Grand Prix and like similar phrases, hinting at a possible Chicago Grand Prix. However, on the back of that piece of news, politicians in the city of Chicago said, we can either have a NASCAR or an Indy race, or we can have an F1 race in the city. We cannot have both. Which I totally get, because hosting an F1 race, especially on a street track, is chaos. I mean, look at Monaco, look at Baku, look at Miami. Chaos. I mean, look at Vegas, for example. I mean, remember that drain cover situation last year? Jesus Christ. So I totally get why they're saying that. On other track news, we have Suzuka that extended their contract until 2029, which is nice. And then, of course, we had a car launch on the 2nd, right on the back of the Lewis news, and it was the Haas car launch. Honestly, because I feel like everyone's still reeling from the Lewis news, no one really truly paid attention to that launch, but it still happened. And the one interesting piece from that launch, in my book, was that the new team principal, Io Komatsu, said at the car launch himself that they will be towards the back, if not the back, in Bahrain, indicating that they have their work cut out for them this season. And honestly, with Io Komatsu's appointment being so late into the winter break, I don't want to imagine where they will end up in the constructors, because I mean, we saw it with Fred Vasseur's appointment at Ferrari last year. This year, because Vasseur didn't have full creative or engineering control of the car just yet, because he only started, I believe, like early January in that role. It wasn't his car 100%, and he kind of started on the back foot already. And in my opinion, same thing will happen with Haas. Even though they promoted from within, I feel like Gunther Steiner still has so much control that as team principal, that Ayo Komatsu will again start out on the back foot, similar to how Fred did. And that's why I think his assessment of being last, or at least towards the back in Bahrain, could be very much accurate, as sad as it is to say. And then we have some Ferrari news, or more Ferrari news, but this time with Charles Leclerc. And even though there have been rumors and whatnot that his race engineer, Xavi Marcos, might be leaving, because there have been some tensions, according to some outlets, he said that Xavi will continue to be his race engineer for 2024 because he trusts him still, which is nice to see. So I know I hint at the beginning of this recording, I hinted at some news that just came out today, the 5th of February, but I'm not going to touch on that just yet, because A, I've been talking for a while, and B, that news is still all developing. So I want to get all my facts straight, digest it a little bit, etc. Have a good one, guys. See you next week.